Have you ever felt completely stuck, like no matter what you did, you were just never gonna get ahead? Like no matter how hard you tried, things just never got better. Hey, everyone. I want you to know there's nothing wrong with you. You're not alone in this. In fact, this is part of the journey. Because the truth is, everyone gets to this point. But what happens next will determine everything. And most people give up too soon. But those who do find that whatever they're after is just on the other side of that breaking point. It's right over there. So let me tell you a few stories about people who found this out the hard way and then changed the world because of it. Steve Jobs was one of the most successful entrepreneurs of our generation. He co-founded Apple, he created macOS, and he was instrumental in making Apple the worldwide leader in technology that it is today. However, most people don't know that before all of this happened, Steve was actually kicked out of the company that he co-founded. He was fired from Apple by the board of directors in 1985 when he was only 30 years old. And if that wasn't bad enough, not only was he fired from the company he built, but he was also given 75 shares of the company stock that he owned and given an exit package. That only included a severance pay and 3 months of health insurance. Imagine getting kicked out of something you spent so much time, energy, and passion into, all while being financially unstable and unsure of what your next move is. It must have been such a crushing blow to him. And for some of us, we might hear this story and say to ourselves, well, at least he had something to fall back on. But even though Steve did receive a decent exit package, it's important to remember that these kinds of situations are rarely as simple as they seem. A lot of people don't realize that the biggest asset someone can have in life is their ability to work and earn income. When Steve was kicked out of Apple, he didn't just lose his job, he lost his main source of income and his main reason for getting out of bed every morning. He wasn't working just for the money or the fame. He was working because it was his purpose. So when that was taken away from him, he was faced with a very difficult choice, giving up or figuring it out. And in this case, Steve didn't give up. Instead, he started Next Inc., which would eventually be acquired by Apple. And we'll talk more about that later. But for now, just think about how close Steve was to giving up, and not just once, but multiple times throughout his career. He was passed over for a promotion that he felt he deserved. He went to work at Atari and left because he didn't get along with the management. He was fired from Apple and almost gave up on everything until he realized that whatever he was looking for was just on the other side of that breaking point. J.K. Rowling is the author of Harry Potter, one of the best-selling book series of all time. But before she achieved all this success, she was struggling both financially and emotionally. She was divorced and raising a young child as a single mother while living in poverty. During this time, she wrote the first Harry Potter book, but it was rejected by multiple publishers before finally being accepted by Bloomsbury. They offered her a small advance of £4,500 and told her that she should expect the book to be a bestseller. After spending 2 years writing the book, Rowling was paid a total of £6,500 for the entire series. Just imagine the amount of work, sweat, and tears that went into creating something so special only to be met with rejection and financial struggle. If J.K. Rowling had given up here, we wouldn't have had the opportunity to escape into the magical world of Harry Potter. But instead, she didn't let her circumstances define her dreams. She kept pushing forward and proved everyone wrong. Once the first book was accepted, the rest was history. Elon Musk is a billionaire entrepreneur who founded multiple companies, including Tesla and SpaceX. But before he became a household name, he was struggling to keep his companies afloat. In 2008, Tesla was on the brink of bankruptcy. Their first product, the Roadster, was not selling well and they were unable to secure additional funding. At this point, Musk was desperate. He had invested everything he had into the company and was burning through his personal fortune at a rapid pace. His friends and family were concerned about him and urged him to give up and move on. But Musk knew that he couldn't do that. He believed in his company and its mission to revolutionize the automotive industry. So, he made a decision to take the company private and save it from bankruptcy. This meant that he would have to pour every last ounce of his energy and resources into the company, and there was still no guarantee of success. But Musk didn't care. He was willing to risk it all for his dream. And this is where things took a turn. With Musk at the helm, Tesla began to grow exponentially. They secured new funding, launched new products, and became one of the most valuable car companies in the world. Now, Elon had listened to his friends and family and decided to cut his losses and move on. We wouldn't have Tesla today. Thomas Edison was an inventor and businessman who created the first practical light bulb. But before he achieved this groundbreaking invention, he faced countless obstacles and failures. Edison was obsessed with finding a new source of energy to replace candles and oil lamps. He experimented with various materials and designs, but none of them seemed to work. And he was constantly being mocked by his peers who thought he was wasting his time on a foolish endeavor. This went on for years, and Edison was starting to feel discouraged. But he wasn't ready to give up yet. He knew that he was on the verge of a breakthrough. He just had to keep trying. Finally, after thousands of experiments, Edison and his team created the first practical incandescent light bulb. This invention would go on to change the world and make Edison a fortune. But it could have easily ended in failure if Edison had given up. Oprah Winfrey is a media executive, actress, and philanthropist who is worth over $3 billion. But before she achieved all this success, she was struggling to make it in the cutthroat world of television. She started off as a news anchor, but quickly realized that she didn't want to read other people's stories. She wanted to share her own experiences. So she took a chance and started her own talk show. But this was not an easy task. She was constantly fighting for ratings and trying to make her show more entertaining and relatable to audiences. And during this time, Oprah was also dealing with personal issues such as her weight and her romantic relationships. There were times when she felt like giving up and going back to reading the news. But instead, she pushed through and evolved her talk show into one of the most popular programs in America. The Rock has become one of the highest-paid actors in Hollywood. But before he became famous, he was struggling to make ends meet as a professional wrestler. He was injured for most of his wrestling career and was forced to take time off to recover. During this time, he had to rely on the kindness of others to survive and often went to sleep hungry because he couldn't afford food. Despite all the physical and financial struggles he was facing, The Rock refused to give up. He knew that he had a gift for entertaining people and wanted to make a career out of it. And although it wasn't easy, The Rock's hard work and dedication eventually paid off. All of these people were on the brink of giving up when suddenly something changed. Something inside of them shifted, and they said, "No, I have to keep going. I have to see what's on the other side of this," because deep down they knew that the thing they were looking for was just on the other side of that breaking point. They had no idea what was going to happen next. They couldn't see what was coming. But they trusted the process. They knew that if they kept going, if they pushed through, if they trusted the journey, they would come out on the other side stronger, wiser, and more successful than they ever imagined. And that's the thing about success. We never really know what's going to happen next. We can't see what's around the corner. But that's where the magic happens. That's where the unexpected twists and turns of life come in. And sometimes those moments can make all the difference. This is why I say that you're closer than you think. You're closer to your goals, you're closer to your dreams, you're closer to the life you want. But you have to keep going. You have to push through. You have to trust the journey. Because on the other side of that breaking point, that's where your breakthrough is waiting for you. And I know it's hard. I know it's scary. But when you look back on your life, when you think about the challenges you've already overcome, you realize that you're stronger than you think. You've been through tough times before and you made it out okay. You learned from the experience and you grew. And that's what happens when we push through the breaking point. We come out on the other side with a deeper understanding of ourselves, of our abilities, of our potential. And that's when the real magic happens. You have to keep going. Don't give up now. Not when you're so close. Not when your breakthrough is just on the other side of that breaking point. So push through. Embrace the challenge. Trust the journey. Because I promise you, whatever you're looking for, it's on the other side of that breaking point. It's waiting for you. And when you reach it, when you finally break through, you're gonna feel like you can conquer anything. And that's the kind of feeling that keeps you going. That's the kind of feeling that makes you unstoppable. So keep going.